Hi, my name is TJ, and before we get started, I figured I'd give a little context into who I am. That way you can better understand the story I'm going to tell. I like to skip class a lot to smoke weed, and now I'm a mechanic. Mechanically inclined. I've always been around somebody that was interested in cars, whether it be my father or my brother. And I've only ever bought shit boxes off Marketplace. Partly because I like it, I want to do it, I think it's fun, I think it's cool, and all that dumb shit. But mainly out of necessity, mainly out of survival. And here's why. Let's start by summarizing 60 years of American auto industry into a section of a YouTube video that will get lost into the deep sea of videos on the internet. The 1960s was lit if you were white, and most everybody could afford a car. And there's plenty of options. Cars were cars. You could get big cars. You could get not as big cars, trucks. They did the work. It was like everything was affordable. Everything was good. Everything was fine and dandy. Then the 70s came around and spoiled everybody's fun when it came to cars, at least. They had to start selling small economical cars in parentheses. They had a catalytic converters and stuff, so you could breathe, and seatbelts so you could have an accident without 100% dying. It's more like 80% now. 80s came around. There was a slight hot rod resurgence. Everybody was still driving around in beaters and stuff, but cars were cheap still. My dad graduated high school and bought a brand new Capri RS, which is a GT Mustang. It was a Fox body. It was an 85. 90s come around. It's just starting to get a little more expensive, but it's okay because Americans are making money. We got that money. Money. So it was all cool. You drop 60K on a car, go drop 60K on a Lexus or a Datsun. We also, at the same time, had economy options in the 90s. You could buy like a fucking Geo Metro or this is going to sound insane. Something they called a mini truck, which was like a truck, but it was small. And I know what you're thinking, man, how would you do that? How do you make a small truck? But I mean, they did. They knew how to do it in the 90s somehow. And you would think, wow, man, that's got to be a toy. That's got to be some lame ass shit. They did work. They did more work than your truck. You right there. Yeah. In the Silverado? Yeah. Yeah, they did more work than you. The 90s was really like the melting pot of the auto industry. You could go buy a muscle car. You could go buy like a little import tuner thing. You could get economy cars. You can get your big ass truck, your big rig lifted, jacked up, big ass truck. You could have a really small truck. You could have a sporty truck. Hell, dude, you could have your 70s style land barge if you really wanted it, bro. Like, they made everything at that time. Also in the 90s, we saw the introduction of this revolutionary new car design that definitely wasn't a station wagon with a lift kit. I promise you, it was brand new, never thought of before, never done. It's not a station wagon with a lift kit. Don't look at it like that. Stop. Get the station wagon. No, it's not. It's new. It's an SUV, a sport utility vehicle. To be fair, they'd been around since probably like the 70s, but like until then they were branded as a truck with back seats. And in the 90s they started being branded as, luxury family cars. And what ended up happening in between 90s and 2000s, I think around 98 and 2003, is they implemented new safety laws that essentially, you ever get a new car and you can't see shit around you, Camaro, you ever that phenomenon, but you get an old car and you can see like everything because like the A pillars are way skinnier. Well, that's because if you roll over, they want the car to not crush you. So, like, as a result of that, you can't see. The 2000s and cars are not getting sleeker, but bubblier, weirder. I feel like the 2000s was a major pivot point for the auto industry. It was 2008 to be specific, Not like anything happened or anything. Not like anything specifically happened in 73 or anything. It was ultimately the ultimate continuation and end of the auto industry, like as everyone knew it and as everyone took it for. Cars were getting a little more expensive, but for the most part, people could still afford to get themselves something. Like they ain't call it oh for rich for no reason. You know what I'm saying? Like there were plenty of options. There were still economy cars and like small cars to be sold, although they would start to be phased out, and companies dedicated to selling such cars were definitely getting phased out around that time. Trucks were getting bigger. Mini trucks were getting phased out as well. You'd have a few lingerers like the Frontier, and before I know everyone's gonna hop in the comments and be like, Maverick, Ford Ranger, what's the Colorado? That's the size of a '90s F-150. Don't call it. It's not no goddamn mini truck. All right, I don't care. The interior feels cramped, but that's not because the truck is small. It's because of other reasons that we'll talk about later. But for the most part, automakers still serve the needs of the American people. If you wanted a small truck, as long as it was American, you could buy one. If you wanted a big truck, you absolutely could buy one. If you wanted a small car, we got you. If you wanted a big car, we got you. The SUVs that were starting to become more popular, we got you. Even better, this thing that came out in the 90s that was starting to get really popular in the 2000s, something we like to call the crossover. We got you on that, man. Whatever people wanted, we had. Cars were getting more and more electrical, but like as long as you kept it basic, like the car itself, like Mercedes and stuff like that, they like to get a little crazy. But you get yourself a good Toyota Corolla. I mean, that still got mechanical throttle, mechanical steering, all that good stuff, and the electronics it did have were still simple enough, simple enough to be worked on. Hey, I already said nothing happened then. Why is that on the screen? I guess I gotta talk about 2008. All that time I spent on that Fisher Price bike. I should have been fucking investing in a house, dude. I like reading y'all Wikipedia articles. The 2007-2008 financial crisis, or the global financial crisis, GFC in parentheses, was the most severe worldwide economic crisis since the Great Depression. Predatory lending in the form of subprime mortgages targeted low-income home buyers, excessive risk-taking by global financial institutions, and a continuous buildup of toxic assets within the bank and bursting of the United States housing bubble accumulated in a perfect storm which led to the Great Recession. This caused auto sales to plummet 40%. Companies stopped making cars. They stopped hiring people. Employment in the motor industry fell over 45%. And personal new vehicle sales fell by $107 billion. This caused an auto industry crisis that Wikipedia says ends in 2010. You see, a little background, there had been an energy crisis that had been going on since 2003, which was making everybody want to get more economical cars, buy cheaper, smaller, more fuel-efficient cars. This and cash for clunkers is why you see so many fucking Priuses around. But TJ, you might ask, I thought you just said SUVs were selling so damn well. And that's funny, because the U.S. government was sitting there like, we have a problem. These SUVs are selling well, and they suck on gas. And they were like begging and pleading with people, trade in your SUV, giving people rebates and shit. This is what Cash for Clunkers was. Trade in your fucking SUV, your gas guzzler, and come get a Toyota Prius. We'll give you a fat ass rebate. And some people did it, but it didn't work. And they were like, oh man, why didn't this work? What can we do to fix this? You know damn well why it didn't work, and you know exactly what you can do to fix it, but you refuse to. You wrote the rules in 1973 with the fucking cafe standards and whatever the other EPA emissions bullshit was, and you wrote trucks out of the rules. Now, let's cut them some slack. At the time, trucks were a tool, and they wanted to let their tools slide because they wanted to continue to do work. And you know, I can't even really hate on that. But trucks are no longer a tool. They're a fashion statement. They're like a style, you know, they're cool. They're like, oh, look at me, my big old truck. Let's rewrite the rules. It's about time we rewrite the fucking rules. I also feel like this time, 2007 and 2010, personally for me, is like my kind of cutoff for when cars start to get shit. Because, you know, it started getting more electronical. Ain't nobody had money to build anything good at the time. I mean, you can just like look at the interiors, all the plastics. It was so fucking garbage. It was worse than it was. How could it be worse than it was? It was already bad. Just personally, that's my cutoff, man. So TJ, you might say again. And if you say too many times, I'm going to have to politely ask you to leave. But hopefully that's neither here nor there. But you might say, TJ, did the '08 economy crash fix our problem of all of these big barges and SUVs and gas guzzlers clogging up the roads and not, you know, an option for small, economical, affordable cars? Do we have that option now? Is the auto market fixed for us in this day and age? Fuck no. Are you crazy, bro? Go outside. If you got to ask that question, go outside. Go outside. I know it's nothing but fucking parking lots and freeways anyways, but go outside. You know, there's enough cars out there to look. Chevy had the Aveo and the Cobalt. So was Ford. I mean, they only had the Focus, and they probably only had that because at the time they were still butt buddies with Mazda. And then Chrysler was just spewing straight vomit in '09. I mean, I don't even know how to describe these cars. I mean, oh my God. They were literally pooping in bags and sending it to dealerships, bro. Like, this is the worst. Like, this entire lineup is just like everything a mechanic would tell you not to buy, except for the Caravan, and then like the trucks and shit. Like every single one of these is something like a mechanic would tell you to stay fucking 5 miles away from. These are the worst cars probably ever in my life, and why I hate Chrysler. Like, this was about this. I think this was the time they were merged with Mercedes, bro. This was the worst thing they've ever done in their life. Like, the Fiat merger is not as bad as their Mercedes merger. Like, truly ruined Chrysler.
A few moments later.
I can make a 20-minute video about how much I just hate these cars on this list. Like, oh my God, look at them, bro. Jesus. Look at this. Look, like I can feel the plastic dashboard just breaking in my hands just looking at the photos. I mean, God. And if we look at a small car hero like Toyota, you know, they still offered a fair balance at this point. Like, you could get a Matrix, you could get a Yaris. If you're feeling a little small crossover, RAV4, feeling a little economical, get yourself a Prius. You still got the Corolla, size up, the Camry. Big boy car, you can get an Avalon. You got your SUVs, the FJ, 4Runner, Land Cruiser, Highlander. You got your trucks, Tacoma, Tundra, a minivan. Like, I mean, they offered good, you know, options. And as we depressingly frolic through the 2010s, we can just kind of, it's like a downward slope. It's a downhill, it's a slide. As we slide down the 2010s, we can just kind of watch the auto industry decline. Meow. Sorry, I'm talking to my cat. So at this point, we're in 2015, and Chevy is just chucking economy cars at the wind, which is, you know, to me is a good thing. It's what I want, right? Which they're only doing it to make up for the increasingly larger and more trucks and SUVs that they're selling. But let's look at the cars. We got Chevy Cruze. We got Chevy Sonic. We got Chevy Spark. We got the Spark EV. And the Volt, which was a little too overpriced anyways. But, you know, it was their first attempt at an electric car. Let's cut them some slack. These cars are hot garbage. And these little non 2.0 Ecotechs, any Ecotech that's smaller than a 2.0 is hot garbage. It's going to overheat. It's going to blow head gaskets. It's going to break plastic coolant lines. It's going to fucking misfire like hell. And it's going to be the bane of your existence. These cars are garbage. They're built like garbage. They're built to break. And they're fucking pieces of shit. Especially the goddamn Cruise. Cruise is another one of those cars that every mechanic will tell you stay the fuck away from. And our old shop, in fact, we totaled one out because we didn't even want to fuck with it. Chrysler cut out 90% of the garbage they were selling and then started selling only like a little bit of garbage. So it was like, it was still garbage, but it was like a lot less, you know. It was a light day for the garbage man, you know what I'm saying? I feel the same way about Ford, you know. It's not Chrysler level, but these EcoBoosts, I'm not a big fan of. I gotta be honest, and especially the early ones, they had problems with the timing chain stretching and then losing oil pressure and then eating the fucking bearings. You know, the fucking Coyote motors, yeah, they're great or whatever. They're cool. But it's just they're designed differently. Like things like plastic valve covers, which I can't really single out Ford for because it's become a thing with almost all cars now. All cars have plastic valve covers. They have plastic coolant lines. I mean, we're gonna start having plastic oil pans. Like, I mean, we're getting a little ridiculous with the plastic here, and there's only one reason for it. Like, you didn't have to change an aluminum valve cover or like a metal valve cover or whatever because like nothing happened to it, but you have to replace a plastic valve cover because it could warp really easily, especially when it's getting hot. So it's just an extra part for them to sell you when you're doing a fucking valve cover gasket. Now it's not just, you know, a gasket. Now you're thinking, well, is my valve cover warped because, you know, it is just a piece of plastic. So the cost savings getting kind of crazy with these manufacturers. Obviously, if they're making like engine components out of plastic, I mean, they're getting a little ridiculous with it. But at the same time, the electronics they're using is getting crazier too, which is adding money to the cost, which doesn't make a lot of sense. But hey, whatever. Yeah, they're more infotainment, like iPads in the dash are starting to become a thing instead of physical buttons that you don't have to look at and just know what they do already and have the muscle memory. Now you have to look down at an iPad thing, like, you know, they told you not to look at. They don't look at your phone while you're driving, but like as long as it's installed in your dash, I guess you're good. You got to do that if you want to, let's say, turn on the AC. Oh my god, I'm so sorry for like killing you and your two children, but I was literally just trying to see how fast I was going. And in order to do that, I had to like click the mode button and then sit there and like scroll through like the different options and different vehicle data until I found the speed up. And you know, it's not just there like on a normal fucking car. I'm a half-ass a personal anecdote about lane keep assist today. Today, I was driving a 2020 CRV with lane keep assist, right? I had no idea. Anyways, there's a pothole in the road. The right side of the road had plenty of shoulder, you know, with the white, like, diagonal lines, nothing there. So I was just going to swerve into that, avoid the pothole. Tell me why the steering wheel fought me. Tell me why the car thought it knew better than me. Oh my God. Never try to fight me. Stuff like that makes me genuinely hate new cars. Stuff like that, and the freaking, like, the fact that they don't have the Perndle anymore. It's got a bunch of buttons or dials now and a bunch of annoying stuff that, like, I have to guess every time I get in a new car. Oh, how are we going to shift into gears in this one? And not only are these electronics a distraction on the inside, it's also causing a problem with the mechanical side of the car, too. Because they're starting to use these electronics to drive more things, you know. The motors are becoming more run by electronics because it makes it nicer, you know. You can look at it all at a nice you can look at it all on a nice, you know, scan tool that you can buy for $500. It's like things like back in the day that, you know, were powered by mechanical linkages and, you know, like done with like a physical thing to here and there. Yeah, I mean, maybe it was slightly less convenient, like shifters, for instance, or steering, or throttle, or brakes. Sure, maybe there's a slight bit of convenience in electrifying it, but then there's a large amount of reliability lost and like problems to come with it. It's like you don't need to put a computer chip in something that don't need a computer chip. You know what I'm saying? For instance, an oil change on my car. What am I doing here? I'm draining the oil. I'm changing the filter. I'm putting fresh oil in it. Start the car up. Make sure it's not leaking. Turn it off. Check the oil level. Make sure I'm good to go. Right? Today, I had an oil change on an Alfa Romeo Stelvio. A little fancy schmancy crossover thingy. I pull the car in. It has an oil level low light. Tells me on the dash the oil is a quart low as I pull it in. Oh wow, that's so convenient. Pop the hood. What do you know? There's no more dipstick because the car tells you in the dash. Why would you need that physical dipstick to check the oil, right? Right? I change the oil. I add 5.5 quarts of oil. That's what it calls for. It still says it's a quart low. I'm like, well, that can't be right. I added the right amount of oil. But, you know, if I was naive enough, I could have sat there and filled it up until I got a reading. But here's the problem. I couldn't get a reading on the oil level until I sat the car on flat ground, which it already was on flat ground. I was doing an oil change. But sat the car on flat ground and let it run for 5 minutes. Now, what if I didn't have enough oil in the car? What if I was stupid? What if I was an average person? I'm sorry. But genuinely, and like I was just trying to figure out if the car had oil in it. What if it had an oil leak? Which the car did have an oil leak. That's why it came in a quart low. You telling me I gotta sit there and run the engine for 5 minutes to find that out? What if it's low enough to damage the motor? Like, it would take 2 seconds. I don't have to turn anything on. All I gotta do is pop the hood, pull the stick, wipe it, dip it again, and then check and see if there's fucking oil in there or not. And then from there, I can check the quality of the oil. I can see if it's dark. I can see if it's milky. I can see shit from it, right? You no longer have that problem. Cars nowadays, and this is really just the Europeans so far, but I'm sure the Americans will follow suit because there's money to be made in doing this. They don't have fucking dipsticks anymore. The most important thing about your car, the oil, you cannot physically check. You just have to trust the computer and the sensor to be right and run your car for fucking 5 minutes, which was the Alpha. Some cars, you have to get completely warmed up. I mean, it's just like things like that. Things like wrapping the oil pan in felt and then putting a skid plate underneath the car on top of that has a fucking fabric thing under, like, on the top of the skid plate to soak up oil so the owner can't see the car leaking oil. Things like that make me not trust newer cars. And this is leading me into planned obsolescence, which is, I believe, companies designing cars to break. You know, it's like the old Gillette thing. Don't fucking design something that's going to last. Design something that needs to be replaced. And of course, that does not mean everybody's going to give up trying to fix their cars. So while we're at it, let's make damn sure it's hard as possible for them. Let's design the car, make it as difficult as possible to work on. That's kind of how it feels like automakers are acting like right now. They're like, man, we're losing way too much money, brother. Way too much money, bro. We cannot let anybody be independent. We cannot let anybody DIY this. We gotta fuck it up for them. And then the process to fix something is so complicated that you can't do it yourself. You take it to the dealer, and it's complicated as fuck for the dealers and the techs to do it, and they still got to get paid, and then now it takes a lot more hours, so it's like they cost more money and more money to the point where it's just like, well, shit, you might just go fucking buy another new car. It's like, damn, it's so fucking expensive to fix the car now. It's just like, yeah, but you can't do that because new cars are so fucking expensive at this point. Yeah, this is what I'm mad about. Yeah, this boils down to me being mad about everything being expensive. Everything's expensive. You can't afford anything, and it's all garbage. We're buying expensive garbage. Ain't that right? Yeah. And I go more deep in this rant in my Malays video, which you can check out. But new cars are genuinely just fucking hot garbage. I mean, it's all powered by electronics. It's all like shit that's gonna break. They're a lot less reliable than they used to be. They're a lot more fucking expensive than they used to be. And there's damn near no fucking options for economy cars. I mean, you can buy a Mitsubishi Mirage. You can buy a Nissan Sentra. You can buy a Toyota Corolla still. They're like, that's about it. And I mean, hell, bro. Nobody can already afford a car anyways. It's like to the point now where cars are becoming a luxury. And any of you Europeans might laugh at that, what I just said, but this is America, dang nabbit, and our infrastructure and economy was skull fucked by the automakers. So we need cars. We need cars to survive. Am I gonna walk down 78 to go to work? Fucking cars 90 miles an hour, 5 lanes. You want me to go walk down 78 to go to work? I'm not walking down 78. I can't. Get to work fucking 2 hours later, half dead. Someone robbed me. Can't see in one eye. I don't know if I'm even going to include it, but I tried to price out some like cheap new cars online, like Mitsubishi Mirage, Nissan Sentra, stuff like that. And I'd hop on like the official website and they'd have this option to like build your car. And I click the cheapest one, base model. We'll say Mirage. Like I don't remember what the MSRP was, but let's just guess it was like $14,000, bro. You click build your own. Before you added anything, base model, anything. This happened with every car on every fucking company website I went to. The price would jump at least $1,000. So like as soon as you clicked on the car, the price jumped $1,000. And then if you didn't add anything to it, like absolutely nothing at all, for the most part, it would just be that $1,000 jump. But that wasn't a real car. That was just a online build your price thing, So from there, you would have to find a car near you. And I would click that. And there would not be any. And this happened every time. And I guess I might as well include it since I'm talking about it. But there would not be a single car within the fucking $5,000 range of the price it gave me. Like they're all like at least $5,000 more expensive. And that's before you even walked in the dealership. That was the online price. So I mean, it's just you know what they say about all these things. It's like one or two coincidences. It's like whatever, but it's like it's a collection. It's a collection of items all pointing to one thing. Hey, I'm not here to conspirize or anything, but maybe this is why the government was trying to buy back used cars with the cash for clunkers thing. Just trade in your used car. Oh, it's not even a fucking theory. I mean, it's a proven fact that it's killed the used car auto market. It's definitely exactly what they did. Like, used cars are so much more expensive now because of cash for clunkers, because there are no more used cars left. Like, I mean, come on, man. Come on. I'm done with be playing around. They are fucking us. And that's not even to mention the fact that it seems like every automaker nowadays seems to be having engine failure problems. Even Toyota. New Toyotas are not doing hot, bro. The Tundras and the Corolla, the little GR Corollas, the little track cars that isn't a track car. And if you track the track car, then you're breaking the rules of the track car that's not a track car. I mean, maybe I'm just fucking poor, dude, but it seems like a no-brainer. Better reliability, like 100 times cheaper. I mean, simpler, cheaper, easier to work on. You're fucking even helping the environment, dude. You're recycling. Like, it's better than buying a new car. Like, I don't know, old cars are fucking not as economical or whatever. Yeah, you know what hurts more than that? Building a fucking new car. Stripping the lithium to fucking build a new goddamn electric car. Recycling's a W. Recycle used cars. Time and time again, the U.S. government has capitulated to greedy automakers, and the average citizen is the one left paying for it. So what do? You buy a scooter? I mean, depending on where you live, you could buy a scooter, but if you're like me, you're going to get ran over if you buy a scooter. So you open up Facebook Marketplace with a little bit of prior knowledge, and you buy yourself a solid used car. The good news is there's a lot of options, because especially, I mean, depending on who you ask, but like personally, I feel like the 90s is a solid buying period. 90s and early 2000s, you're looking at a solid buying period. That's when they had the money to make the cars good, and that's when they knew how to make them good. So finally, to summarize, old cars 100 times more cheaper, more reliable if you know what you're doing, easier to work on, cheaper to get fixed if you don't know what you're doing. You're helping the environment, and if the government tries to track you, they can't track you with a car that's mechanical. You would need to have a new car that has GPS and all that electric bullshit in it to be tracked. Not really, no. They still have like license plate, fucking like red light cameras and all that shit. They gon' find you, but you can make it slightly harder for them. They couldn't shut your car off from a computer screen. You know what I'm saying? What's your name?
My name Cody.
This the what?
The Grand AM.
The Grand AM.
The Grand AM.
The Grand AM. Wake up in the morning with the Grand AM.
From the great years of 2000.
All right.
I've had a blown head gasket for about 3 years now. She still get up and purr.
Dude. She gets up and runs, bro. He don't want to fix the head gasket. He just push it. I want you to see that, dude. I want to see you do that with a new car.
This OEM headlight?
That's not OEM, bro. That's Depot. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, he's like, I don't know. I don't know, bro. Hold on. Go for it.
This is Linda.
This is Linda. I hope they pick this car up for $750. One owner, Buick LeSabre, 3800. You already know how it is. You already know how we roll around here, bro. We roll in style and comfort. This car got airbags, $750, runs and drives, drove it home. You know what I'm saying?
Hour drive home, she did great.
And after I put a thermostat in it, of course. But look at how beautiful that shit is. This is what $750 can get you, bro. Comfort and style, rolling around like a goddamn pimp.
I'm thinking about putting some white rims on her.
White rims? Listen.
Go
Listen, I'm gonna help her out with the
Make
style
it
decisions here. She's getting
I'm
chromies.
thinking white rims.
Chromies or
Nice
nothing,
little
bruh.
dice.
Chromies for the homies. Definitely some dice. This is a dice car, but we getting
Black
Cro-
rims. I'm thinking
black
white.
rim. I'm finna smack the shit out of him. Chromies for the homies. Chromies for the homies. House one owner, grandma owned. You know what I'm saying? $3,000. Come hit us up for sale right now. For sale right now. Drive her home today. Tell her about the Galant, buddy.
$3,000.
$3,000. Drive her home today, son. She a beautiful
10
car.
grand.
10 grand. Hey, bro, you could. Hey, spend 40,000 on a new car, or 30,000, or 10 grand on a new car from 2006. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? This is a beauty right here. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know how I'm coming today. She a beauty.